My name is Daniel, and the night my life was supposed to be perfect, a waiter leaned in and ripped it apart with one sentence. It was my $60 million exit party. 30 years of grinding, sweating, sacrificing weekends, missing birthdays, all wrapped into one obscene number on a wire transfer screen. The ballroom was all glass and gold, floor-to-ceiling windows, a string quartet in one corner, a DJ in the other, investors, founders I'd mentored, a few fake friends in very real suits, my name on a giant LED screen. Congratulations, Daniel Cole, a legendary exit. People kept slapping my back, raising glasses, telling me things like, "You did it, man. You're free now. You won." I smiled. I said thank you. I played the role. But somewhere around my third glass of champagne, the room started to tilt, not in the poetic way. Literally, faces blurred. The music stretched like someone pulled it like gum. My tongue felt fat. My heartbeat slowed, then sped up, then slowed again. I'd had drinks before. I knew what tipsy felt like. This was not normal. I was sitting at my own table, trying to focus my eyes on the tablecloth pattern, when I felt a warm breath near my ear. A waiter, early 20s, dark hair, nervous eyes, leaned over like he was going to refill my glass. His voice was barely audible over the music. "Sir, I think your daughter, she put something in your drink." My brain didn't catch the words at first. "Well, what?" I muttered, my lips struggling to move. He swallowed hard. "Your daughter, the one in the silver dress. I saw her pour something into your glass when you went to stage. She told me not to say anything, but I think you need to know." For a second, I thought he was joking, or I misheard. Then I tried to turn and look for my daughter, Maya. An entire room smeared into streaks of light. My chest tightened. My own daughter? Someone tapped a fork on a glass and yelled, "Speech! We need a speech." I heard my name echoing. "Daniel, Daniel, speech." I tried to stand. My legs felt like rubber. The world tilted again. I grabbed the table edge. The waiter grabbed my arm, trying to steady me. "Are you okay, sir?" I looked at him, trying to focus. What did she put? But my tongue was heavy. My throat burned. My hands were sweating. My heart pounded in my ears like drums. From across the room, I saw Maya. Beautiful, confident, 25, in a shimmering silver dress, laughing with a group of people from the acquiring company. She looked over at me and smiled. A soft, practiced, perfect smile. My vision pulsed in and out. The edges of the room were going dark. People thought I was emotional, overwhelmed. A couple of my old engineers clapped, assuming I was choked up. Inside my head, one question screamed, why would my own daughter drug me? The last thing I remember before everything went black was Maya walking toward me, her smile fading into something I had never seen on her face before. I didn't grow up with money. I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with peeling paint and thin walls that led to my parents' arguments like unwelcome radio broadcasts. My father worked in a factory. My mother worked nights at a diner. I swore I would never be poor. I swore my family would never have to choose between rent and groceries. And I kept that promise. I built a software company in my 30s. Supply chain optimization. The kind of stuff that sounds boring until you realize it quietly controls billions of dollars of goods. We bootstrapped. Then we got seed money. Then Series A, B, C. I slept on office couches. I missed parent-teacher conferences. I told myself it was all for the family. Maya came along when I was 27. I loved her from the first moment I saw her. Tiny fingers, loud voice, eyes like her mother's. I'd stand over her crib after midnight, whispering promises to a baby who couldn't understand a word. You're never going to struggle like I did. I'm going to make sure you have everything. Her mother, Rachel, used to say, just be here. That's all she needs. Not everything. Just you. I tried. For a while. But as the company grew, I became that dad. The one on his phone at school plays, the one dialing into meetings from the parking lot during soccer games. Maya learned early that if she wanted my attention, she had to book it between meetings. As she got older, there was a distance between us that I never fully understood. She was polite, always, never openly rebellious. Straight A student. Later, a business degree from a top university. On paper, she was perfect. In reality, there was a wall. I tried to break a few times. At 15, she came home crying because some girl at school called her spoiled. I tried to console her. She pulled away. "You don't get it, Dad," she said. "You're never here, and when you are, you think you can fix everything with money." The word stung, but I shrugged it off as teenage drama. At 18, she refused to attend a celebration after we closed a major round. "I don't want to stand in a room of people who worship you for abandoning your family," she said. I laughed it off. She didn't. When Rachel and I divorced, Maya stayed with her mother most of the time. I told myself it was because of her school, her friends. Deep down, I knew it was also because I had become a guest star in my own home. Still, I made sure she had the best of everything. Private schools, a car on her 18th birthday, tuition paid in full. Anytime she hinted she wanted something, I wired it, ordered it, signed it. Love is providing, I told myself. But kids don't measure love in dollars. They measure it in hours, in eye contact, in hugs, in "how was your day?" Years later, when my company hit its peak, I tried to bring her into the business. "Come work with me," I said. "You're smart. You understand people. I could use someone I trust on the strategy side." She hesitated, then agreed. For the first time in a long time, I felt hope. We'd work together, reconnect, build something side by side. But I wasn't the only one with a plan. I woke up in a hospital room. The light above me was dim. The air smelled of antiseptic and that sterile, quiet fear that always lives in hospitals. My mouth was dry like sand. My tongue felt like it had been wrapped in cotton. I tried to sit up. My head throbbed. "Mr. Cole, don't move too quickly," a nurse said, appearing at my side. What happened?" I croaked. "You collapsed at your event," she said gently. "Your blood pressure dropped. Your heart rate was irregular. You were brought here as a precaution." "Did I have a heart attack?" "Not exactly," she said. "The doctor will explain more when he comes back. For now, you should rest." My mind scrambled. The party, the noise, the lights, the waiter, the whisper. "Where's my daughter?" I asked. "Maya, is she here?" The nurse glanced at the door. She was here earlier. She stepped out to make some calls. "I can let her know you're awake." "Don't," I said, sharper than I meant to. She looked surprised. I softened my voice. "Just give me a moment first." As soon as she left, I stared at the ceiling and replayed the night. Had I imagined it? Maybe I'd mixed drinks. Maybe I was more stressed than I thought. Or maybe a young waiter had really leaned in and said, "Your daughter drugged you." My heart rate monitor beeped a bit faster. The doctor came in later, middle-aged, tired eyes, professional tone. "Mr. Cole, it looks like you had an adverse reaction to a substance mixed with alcohol. Your lab results show a sedative in your system. Not lethal, but definitely not something you should have been ingesting with champagne." "Sedative?" I repeated. "You mean someone slipped me something?" He hesitated. "It appears so. Could be a mix-up, could be an accidental dose, could be intentional. Do you recall taking any medication before the event?" "No," I said. "Nothing." He nodded slowly. "Do you want us to call the police?" I opened my mouth to say yes. Then I saw Maya in the doorway. Mascara slightly smudged. Hair pulled back. Silver dress under a black coat. She looked exhausted and scared. "Dad," she breathed, rushing to my bedside. "Oh my God!" I was so worried. Her voice trembled. Her eyes glistened with tears. I studied her face. Was this fear for me? Or fear of what I might know? The doctor excused himself. Maya took my hand. It was warm, familiar. "You scared me," she said. "One minute you were laughing. The next you were on the floor. The paramedics said your blood pressure was all over the place. Are you okay?" "What did they say?" I searched her eyes. "A sedative, I said calmly. They found a sedative in my system. Her grip tightened just a fraction. It was subtle, but I felt it. A sedative? She repeated, her voice carefully controlled. How? Why would you? That's what I'd like to know, I said. For a second, something flickered across her face. A shadow. Then it vanished. They said it could be a mistake, she added quickly. You know how many people were around your table? Drinks everywhere. People toasting. Waiters rushing. Maybe someone else's glass got mixed with yours. Maybe. I remembered the waiter's voice. She told me not to say anything. I cleared my throat. Where's that young waiter from the party? Dark hair, about your age. Do you remember seeing him? She froze, just for half a heartbeat. I don't know, Dad. There were dozens of staff. Look, you just woke up. Can we not talk about waiters and sedatives? I thought we'd lost you tonight. The way she said it, most people would have been convinced. But I'd spent 30 years reading people in high-stakes negotiations, watching micro-expressions, measuring lies. Something was off. Sure, I said gently. We'll talk later. She smiled, relieved. I'll let you rest. The board been calling. Investors, too. Everyone's worried. I'll handle things, okay? I'll tell them you need a few days. Maybe sign some of the post-closing documents on your behalf. So you don't stress. There it was. A tiny, seemingly harmless sentence buried in concern. I'll sign some of the post-closing documents on your behalf. My skin prickled. Don't sign anything for me, I said quietly. Not yet. She blinked. Why not? Because my hands still work, I replied, raising one slightly. And because my lawyer needs to be there when I sign anything. You know that. She forced a laugh. Of course. I'm just trying to help. I know, I said. I appreciate it. She kissed my forehead. I love you, Dad, she whispered. She walked out. The door clicked shut behind her. I lay there, staring at that door, my heart pounding in my chest. If Maya had drugged me, this wasn't just about hate. It was about control, about money, about power. And if she thought I was going to lie in a hospital bed and let it happen, she didn't know me at all. I was discharged 2 days later with instructions to rest, hydrate, and avoid stress. Right, avoid stress. The morning I got home, my inbox was a war zone. Hundreds of messages. The acquisition had closed. Most of the money had hit my accounts. But there were addendums, clarifications, and a separate thread from my private wealth manager. One email stopped me cold. Subject, urgent signature clarifications. The body read, Daniel, hope you're feeling better after the incident. As discussed with Maya, we've processed a transfer of 40% of your holdings into the family trust under her provisional control. Per the updated instructions signed the event. Please confirm you're aware and in agreement. Martin, updated instructions. Transferred. Under her provisional control. My vision tunneled. I had not discussed any of that with Martin, and I had not signed a single document at that party. My first call was to my lawyer, Stuart. He'd been with me for 15 years. Calm, meticulous, cautious. No answer. Straight to voicemail. My second call was to my assistant. Did Stuart come to the party? I asked. Yes, she said. I saw him talking to Maya at the bar at one point. He left early, though. He said he was feeling unwell. Unwell. I opened my secure e-signature portal. There they were. 3 documents with my digital signature, all timestamped within 15 minutes of the time I collapsed at the party. One updated the family trust. One shifted decision power temporarily to Maya in the event of incapacitation. One granted expanded power of attorney for a short, transitional period. All perfectly legal. All perfectly damning. All signed. Except not by me. My chest tightened again, but this time it wasn't a sedative. It was anger. I checked the access logs. The signatures had been executed from a tablet logged into my account at the party venue's IP address. It required my token, my password. I had been on the floor, unconscious. Someone had prepared this. Someone who knew the systems, the timing, my security habits. Someone close. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Hey, Dad. Just checking in. How are you feeling? Need anything? I stared at the screen. If I confronted her now, she'd deny everything. She'd say it was to protect me in case I couldn't function. Blum, blum, emotional language. She was good with words, good with faces, good with appearing like the caring daughter who'd step up for Dad. No, if she had gone as far as drugging me at my own celebration, I needed more than suspicion. I needed proof. I called Martin, my wealth manager. Martin, I said, try and keep my voice calm. When exactly did you discuss a transfer with Maya? There was a pause. Daniel. She said you authorized her to handle urgent matters at the party. She showed me the updated trust instructions and a recorded voice note with your consent. A recorded voice note? Yes. You sounded unwell. But you clearly said you wanted to make sure Maya had control in case anything happened to you. I closed my eyes, rage pressing behind my ribs. Send me the voice note, I said. Within a minute, it arrived. I pressed play. It was my voice, slurred, weak. I want my daughter, Maya, to handle things if something happens to me. Temporary. Control. Trust her. I remembered nothing. I remembered a black hole swallowing the end of that night. Martin, I said quietly, do you know what sedatives sound like? Sedatives, he repeated. I didn't answer. I hung up. If I'd been drugged, that note had been recorded while I was under the influence. That meant any consent given was compromise at best, illegal at worst. But again, suspicion wasn't enough. I needed someone who could move in shadows, find things I couldn't. I hired a private investigator, a woman named Lena, recommended by a friend who'd quietly handled a messy board scandal. She listened to everything without interrupting, then said, you don't want to go public yet. You don't want the police yet. You don't want her to know you're on to her. You want to see how far this goes. Yes, I said. Then we start with the kid. She replied, which kid? The waiter, she said. The one who risked his job to whisper in your ear. Find him, and we'll find your trail. It took Lena 3 days to track him down. His name was Lucas, 21, college student, part-time waiter at the event company. We met him in a quiet cafe away from the city center. He kept glancing around like he expected Maya to walk in. Relax, Lena said gently. We're not here to get you in trouble. We just need the truth. He looked at me, eyes wide. I'm sorry, Mr. Cole, he stammered. I shouldn't have said anything at the party. I saw it, and then you collapsed and I panicked. What exactly did you see? I asked. He swallowed. You went up on stage. There was a toast. Everyone moved to the front. Your daughter stayed behind by your table for a minute. She reached into her clutch, took out this small brown bottle, and poured a few drops into your glass. Then she stirred with her finger and wiped the rim with a napkin. My stomach turned. Are you sure it was my daughter? I asked quietly. He nodded vigorously. She's hard to miss. Same silver dress. I'd served her twice before that. She saw me looking and said, top up my dad's drink when he comes back. He's nervous. This will help him relax. She smiled like it was nothing. Did anyone else see? I don't know. The other staff were busy. Guests were moving around. She's very confident. Like she's used to people not questioning her. He wasn't wrong. Why did you warn me? I asked. He stared at the table. I lost my dad last year, he said softly. He worked 2 jobs. Saved everything for us. Died of a stroke at 53. When I recognized you at the party, I thought, this guy's one of those high-level people, but he's still a dad. When I saw her do that, something felt wrong. It didn't look like someone helping. It looked like someone setting something up. I swallowed hard. Do you know what was in the bottle? Lena asked. He shook his head quickly. No, but I took a picture, just in case. He pulled out his phone, scrolling nervously, then turned the screen toward us. There it was, a grainy but clear shot of Maya's hand, holding a small brown bottle over my champagne glass. Her ring, her bracelet, her silver dress. The label on the bottle was slightly blurred, but the name of the drug was just legible enough for Lena to zoom in. A prescription sedative. Strong. Can you send that to us? Lena asked. He nodded. Will I get in trouble? Not from me, I said, and not from the law, if I can help it. You may have just saved me from losing a lot more than consciousness. Lucas left, shoulders still tense but visibly lighter. Lena looked at me. Your daughter is brazen, she said. This wasn't a panicked, last-minute thing. This was planned. I know, I said quietly. Maya is many things. Panicked is not one of them. Next step, Lena said, we follow the documents. She wouldn't risk all this just to feel powerful for a day. She wants control of the money, the company, your future. We see who she's working with. It turned out the answer was more people than I want to believe. Lena found that Maya had met with Stewart, my lawyer, 3 times in a month before the acquisition closed. Lotus Cafe, a hotel bar, my office while I was on a trip. She pulled security footage where she could. In one video, Maya and Stewart sat in a corner, her posture straight, his shoulders slightly slumped. At one point, she slid a folder across the table. He hesitated. She leaned in, said something, and his face tightened. Blackmail? Pressure? A bribe? We didn't have the audio, but we had enough to know he was compromised. Then there was the boyfriend. I found out about him from an Instagram picture Lena dug up. A photo of Maya at some rooftop bar, holding hands with a man I'd never seen before. Tag at Leo_Murfield. A quick search showed Leo was an investor type, always around deals, never the one signing the big checks. People like him don't build value. They orbit it, hoping to siphon off some. He liked posts about aggressive wealth transfer strategies, family office restructuring, and a few that made my skin crawl. How to protect assets from emotionally unstable parents. I stared at his smug face in the pictures. Suddenly, my daughter's strange new confidence around legal documents and strategy made more sense. She wasn't just acting alone. She had advisors, enablers, my own lawyer, her boyfriend, and God knows who else. I felt something inside me harden. They thought I was weak. They thought they drugged a tired old man, forged his consent, and moved on with his empire while he recovered. Confused and grateful. They thought they understood me. They didn't. I didn't confront Maya. Not immediately. Instead, I played the game she expected me to play. The recovering, slightly rattled father who needed his daughter to step up. I answered her text slowly. I let her update me one-sided on how smoothly things were going. Dad, I've talked to the bank. Everything is in motion. Dad, don't worry about the stabilization clause. I reviewed it. Dad, you really should rest. You've done enough. Every time she said rest, it sounded less like care and more like instruction. Stay out of the way. Meanwhile, Lena and I worked. We quietly switched Stewart out. I hired a new legal team. People who didn't have history with my family. We didn't tell Maya. We didn't tell Stewart. We traced every transaction. We flagged everything linked to the new family trust. We discovered something new. Maya had set the trust up months before the exit. With Stewart's help, on paper, it looked like a normal estate planning tool. But buried in the clauses were little time bombs. If I was deemed medically incapacitated, she gained temporary control. If I signed a specific statement of consent like the drug voice note, the control could extend. If I failed to reverse it within a certain period, parts of it became permanent. It was clever, legal, almost unassailable if I stayed quiet. But I had the sedative lab report. I had the waiter's testimony and photo. I had evidence that my lawyer had been working with her behind my back. Now I needed one more thing. I needed Maya to show her true face. Not just to me, but to people whose opinions actually mattered. The board, my inner circle, the acquirer, and the law. So I designed my own stage. I invited her to a private family dinner at my house 2 weeks after party. Just the two of us. Candlelight. Her favorite food. She arrived looking radiant, relaxed. Dad, this is nice, she said. You're not usually the romantic dinner type. Maybe it's all the near-death experiences. I said with a small smile. Makes you want to appreciate people you love. Her face softened. You scared me, she said honestly. I thought I was going to lose you before you even got to enjoy what you built. Interesting choice of words. We ate. We talked about safe topics, travel, some news, her friends. I asked about Leo. He's good, she said casually. You'd like him if you gave him a chance. He's smart. He understands strategy. He doesn't worship you like everyone else does. I smiled. I'm not sure everyone worships me. She tilted her head. You'd be surprised. After dessert, I leaned back. Maya, I said, there's something I want to do. Something I should have done a long time ago. She looked alert. What is it? I want to give you more responsibility, I said carefully. I've been thinking about stepping back more permanently. Maybe traveling. Maybe disappearing for a while. And I want you to be in a position where you're not starting from zero. Her eyes lit up. Dad, are you serious? I am, I said. Are you talking about formal control? Like actually transitioning things? Yes, I said. But I want to do it the right way. With lawyers I choose. With documents I understand. Not under sedative. Her smile faltered. What? I held her gaze. Do you know what they found in my blood at the hospital, Maya? I asked quietly. She shifted in her seat. No, you just said it was some reaction. A sedative, I said, the same one you poured into my glass at the party. Her fork clinked against her plate. There it was. The mask slipped, just a fraction. Dad, that's insane, she said, a shaky laugh escaping her lips. You're paranoid. You've always been paranoid. You can't seriously think I would drug you. I didn't break eye contact. I have a photo of your hand with a bottle over my glass. I replied. I have the name of the drug. I have the waiter who saw you and risked his job to warn me. I have security footage of you and Stewart meeting behind my back. And I have documents executed while I was unconscious, and lab results proving I was not in my right mind when that voice note was recorded. Her face went still. She realized, in that moment, that I wasn't guessing. I knew. The silence between us was the loudest thing I'd heard in years. Then slowly, her expression changed. Not into guilt, not into panic, into calculation. So what now? She asked softly. Are you going to call the police on your own daughter? I leaned forward on my elbows. No, I said, not yet. I watched confusion flash in her eyes. Then what? I'm going to give you a choice. I said, not for you, for me, for the man I thought I raised. I outlined the choice for her in calm, simple terms. She could sign a full reversal of every trust amendment and power of attorney she'd engineered. She could voluntarily step away from any control over my finances and company. She could cooperate in a quiet investigation into Stewart and whoever else was involved, claiming she'd been manipulated by them. If she did all that, I'd keep this as a family matter. No police, no press, minimal legal fallout. Her jaw clenched. And if I don't, then, I said, you will see exactly how ruthless the man you try to outplay can be. She didn't choose the quiet option. Of course she didn't. She had Leo in her ear. She had tasted power. She thought I was bluffing. 2 days after our dinner, my new lawyers informed me that she'd attempted to push through a bank instruction using the old documents, claiming I was confused and making emotional decisions due to my health scare. She framed it as protecting the state from my erratic post-event behavior. That was her move. So I made mine. First, I confronted Stewart. Not in a screaming match. Not with threats. In a recorded, perfectly calm meeting in a conference room with my new legal team present. He walked in looking 10 years older than the last time I'd seen him. Daniel, you drug client consent through my daughter, I said without preamble. You helped alter trust behind my back. You knowingly processed documents while I was medically compromised. I can take your license, your reputation, and your freedom, or you can cooperate. His shoulders sagged. Leo approached me first, he confessed, voice trembling. He said you were going to restructure everything and cut Maya out because you didn't trust her. He said you were unstable, that you'd made erratic decisions. I believed them. And Maya, she said she just wanted what she was owed after years of you ignoring her. I listened in silence. I didn't argue. I didn't correct his version of me. All I said was, "You're going to sign a detailed sworn statement. Every meeting, every document, every word they told you to say. You're going to surrender your role in my affairs. And then you're going to disappear from my life." He signed. Then we turned to the stage where this would all come together. I called for a post-exit alignment meeting, a gathering of the acquiring company's leadership, my old board, and key advisors. A final, ceremonial transition of wisdom. At least that's how it was presented. Maya was invited, of course, as my heir apparent. She walked into that glass-walled conference room with confidence, Leo at her side. He wasn't technically invited, but he hovered in the outer office, playing the supportive partner. I stood at the head of the long table, hands on the back of a chair. "Thank you all for coming." I began. "Tonight is supposed to be about closure. But before we can do that, I need to address something serious." A murmur went around the table. Maya shifted slightly in her seat. "Dad, what is this?" she asked, a polite smile frozen on her face. "This," I said, "is about control." I nodded to my lawyer. He placed a small device on the table and pressed a button. First came the hospital doctor's statement, played through the speakers. The patient had a sedative in his system, which, mixed with alcohol, resulted in his collapse. Then Lucas's recorded testimony, anonymized but clear. I saw his daughter pour something from a brown bottle into his glass. She told me not to say anything. I took a picture. Next, the photo appeared on a large screen at the end of the room. Maya's hand, the bottle, my glass. The room went silent. I watched the faces around the table. Shock, confusion, some anger. They all turned slowly toward Maya. She laughed, brittle and high. "This is out of context," she said quickly. He was anxious. I gave him something to calm him down. It wasn't like that. My lawyer switched to the next slide. The sedative's description, dosage, effects, warnings about combining with alcohol. Then came Stewart's confession, projected for everyone to hear. I participated in altering Mr. Cole's estate documents under pressure from his daughter and her partner, Leo Mayfield. They showed me a plan to secure control if he became incapacitated and assured me it was in his best interest. I now understand that he was drugged during the event and unable to consent clearly. Leo, visible through the glass wall, went pale. I turned back to the table. "I built this company on trust," I said calmly. "You trusted me to make decisions that were hard, sometimes unpopular, but fair. Tonight, you see what happens when someone tries to take that trust and weaponize it." I looked directly at Maya. "You wanted everything," I said quietly. "Not over time, not earned, all at once. So you treated me like a problem to be solved, not a father to be loved." Her eyes were burning, but not with tears, with rage. "You were never a father," she shot back. "You were a walking ATM. You missed my whole childhood for meetings and flights, and just one more quarter. You think writing a check for my tuition makes us even." The words hit hard, but I let them, because everyone needed to hear them. "You hate me so much," I said softly, "that you were willing to drug me and sign away my life while I lay on the floor. That's not about justice, Maya. That's about revenge." She stood abruptly, chair screeching across the floor. "You're twisting everything," she snapped. "He's twisting everything," she yelled, gesturing at me. "He's always been paranoid. Ask anyone who really knows him. Ask my mother. Ask." My lawyer placed another document on the table. "This," he said, "is a full reversal of all trust amendments and power transfers, executed yesterday by the court on the grounds of compromised consent and attorney misconduct." He slid it forward. "In addition," he continued, "we've filed a motion placing temporary legal restraints on Ms. Cole's ability to act in any fiduciary capacity with Mr. Cole's assets until this matter is fully investigated." The acquiring company CEO cleared his throat. "Daniel, we didn't know any of this," he said carefully. "I know," I replied. "That's why I'm showing you now." I will not let the company I built become host to this kind of internal sabotage. My exit stands. Our deal stands. But my family matters are becoming legal matters. I turned back to Maya. This is my revenge, I said quietly, just for her. Not rage, not shouting, just truth, exposed in the one arena you cared most about, power. Her lips trembled. You can't do this, she whispered. I already did, I replied. Security escorted Leo from the building when he tried to barge into the room. He shouted about rights and partnerships and agreements. None of them mattered anymore. By the end of the week, Stewart had resigned from his firm and begun cooperating with the disciplinary board. Maya's access to my finances was frozen. Her advice on corporate matters was officially unwelcome. I didn't press criminal charges that could destroy her life forever, but I also didn't shield her from the consequences of what she'd done. I stepped down from day-to-day involvement in the company, and I stepped fully into the role I'd avoided for years. Not just provider, but protector. Protector, ironically, from my own child. People assume revenge feels good. They imagine a moment where the villain's face crumples, justice lands, and the hero walks away lighter. The truth is, it's heavier. I got what I wanted. Maya didn't get my company. She didn't hijack my wealth. She didn't turn my near collapse into a permanent power grab. I exposed her. I stopped her. I outplayed her. But I also lost something that night in that glass-walled room. Something that no legal motion can bring back. The illusion that my daughter would never hurt me on purpose. We barely speak now. Her lawyers talk to my lawyers about technicalities. She sends the occasional short message around holidays. Hope you're okay. I reply, you too. That's it. A once-in-a-lifetime bond reduced to 2-line emails. Do I miss her? Every day. Do I trust her? No. And that's a strange grief to live with. Sometimes I sit on my balcony at night, looking out over the city my company helped shape, and I replay everything. The first time I held her as a newborn, the first bike ride, the first time she called me from college just to talk about nothing. I also replay the photo of her hand over my glass. The cold calculation in her eyes at that dinner when she realized I knew. The way she asked, so what now? Like we were opponents, not family. People ask me what the lesson is, like my life is a motivational video. Here's what I've learned. If you build an empire but never build trust with your children, your wealth can become ammunition instead of protection. If you teach your kids that money solves everything, they may grow up thinking it's okay to use you like a problem to be solved. Love that is not present feels like abandonment, even if it's paved with good intentions and wire transfers. Do I blame her for everything? No. I have to live with the fact that I helped create this version of her by choosing meetings over moments, deals over dinners, future security over present connection. But I also refuse to excuse what she did. We teach people how far they're allowed to go with us. If I had stayed silent, I would have taught her that betrayal has no cost. So my revenge wasn't about destroying her. It was about drawing a line so deeply that she could never pretend she didn't see it. If you're listening to this as a story, a video, another dramatic, can you believe this moment, maybe you're wondering what you would have done. Would you have protected your daughter no matter what? Or expose her to protect yourself? I don't know the right answer for everyone. I only know the answer I chose. I chose to expose her. I chose to protect what I'd built. I chose to show her and everyone watching that love without boundaries is not love. It's surrender. My $60 million exit party was supposed to be the end of my story as a founder, the curtain call. Instead, it became the beginning of a different story, one where the real battle wasn't in the boardroom, but at my own dinner table. And if there's one thing I'd tell any parent listening, it's this. Don't wait until a waiter whispers in your ear that your child has drugged you to start paying attention to the quiet ways you lost them long before.